Every detailer's full detail package is entirely different. You've got your bronze, your silver, your gold, and sometimes even your platinum full detail. But if you're a customer, how the hell are you supposed to know the difference between all those packages? And especially, how are you going to decide what service is right for you? And if you're a detailer, you're not going to be able to sell all these complex services to your customers, and you're not going to be very profitable if you don't have your services dialed in. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's included in this service, how to structure everything so you can be as efficient as possible and therefore as profitable as possible. And then at the end, we're going to talk about sales strategies to make sure that you're able to actually book your calendar full of these higher ticket full detail jobs. This is our full detail service. It's $305 for most average vehicles like the one we're doing today, and $325 for oversized vehicles and trucks. We start with the interior, and here's what's included. It's a full vacuum and wipe down of all of the surfaces, cracks, and crevices. Then we clean and protect the plastics. We do the same thing with the leather, and we clean the floor mats and carpets, but we don't shampoo them, and that's important. I'll get to that in a second. Follow that up with doing the interior glass, and then we cover the exterior, which is a full hand wash and foam bath, deep cleaning of the rims and tires, and then we top it all off with a 3-month ceramic sealant to protect the paint. Now, most detailers include in their full detail service things like a clay bar, full shampoo and extraction, maybe even an engine detail. Those sorts of services are things that 90% of your customers do not need. As business owners, it is our job to match the customer's needs or their perceived needs with the products that solve their problems. So yes, as detailers, we want to make the car look as perfect as possible, but in my opinion, that would also include doing a full polish and a full ceramic coating of every single vehicle, because technically every car needs that, but not every customer wants that. So by having all of these additional services in your full detail, maybe they do technically need an engine detail, but you're adding so much into that service that the customer is going to look the other direction because they notice that there are things included in your package that they don't actually want, which makes them feel like they're overpaying for a service because they're getting all of these additional things. You are going to be more profitable if you remove all of the fluff, focus on making your full detail as simple as possible and getting as good as possible at the basics. And then if they want an engine detail, guess what? I can charge another $65. If they want a clay bar, I can charge an extra $75. And customers are actually willing to pay more for a full detail service that perfectly fits their needs. I used to charge $250 for this same service, and I had a shampoo and I had a clay bar. I would get told no all the time because people saw that there were so many additional things, whereas now we're $55 more expensive and we've removed 2 services, and I get yeses every single day. Let's start with the interior. I always start with the interior, and I'm gonna walk you through how to do it in the most efficient way possible, whether you're a solo man or you're working with your teammate, like I have one of my crew members here today. Now, on the interior, we always start with a full blowout of all of the crevices of the vehicle, because if you take a look over here, you'll notice just how much loose debris sits in the vehicle. Everything from grass to hairs to pieces of rocks and gravel, all of these things. If we can blow them out with our air compressor first, we have less vacuuming to do, which honestly takes the longest amount of time. Then we begin vacuuming back to front. We start with the back because the follicles on the carpet in the trunk of vehicles is always thinner than the carpet up front, so it makes it harder to vacuum. So we want to start with what's going to take the most time, and this car has a little bit of pet hair as well, so I'll be able to give you some tips on how to take care of that. Then we're going to focus on working on all of the interior components. Now, on the interior, we always work inside out. So we start by wiping down all of the seats, all of those things, and then we'll move our way onto the door panels, which most of the time require the most attention because that's what the customer is looking at the most when you swing open the doors to inspect their vehicle after the fact. Then we're gonna save the interior glass for after we've completed the exterior, because we wanna be able to see clean glass on the outside to know exactly where all of our smudges are on the interior glass, because that's another key part that customers look at to make sure that the vehicle was done right. The amount of times that detailers get complaints on the windshield in particular far outweighs other areas of the vehicle that the customer might notice. Now, this interior detail should take us about 2 hours, and the exterior is gonna take about 45 minutes to an hour. So that's all in gonna be below 3 hours for a $300 detail. Now, this customer did leave personal belongings in the vehicle. We always ask that our customers remove personal belongings, and we do have that stipulated in our terms of service, because personal belongings can present a liability, especially if it's a first-time customer. Imagine they accuse you of misplacing something, now what do? It's always important to make sure the vehicle is in work-ready condition before you arrive, but we're gonna go ahead and move these things out because this is a repeat customer and a family friend. Now, for this video, we wanted to pick as normal of a car as possible. It's why we're working on this Ford Explorer. This is very average condition for what we handle. And I imagine that's similar for a lot of detailers. The last thing that I wanted to do was claim to be able to do a full detail in under 3 hours and it be a car that's brand new, super pristine. This is in pretty average shape from somebody that's using their car and not getting it detailed for a couple of years. So I'm using this bootleg Tornador product, an off-brand one, because the Tornadors, they're like $65 and they break every month. This also breaks every month, but it's like $20. So I'd much rather use something like this, a lot cheaper. All of the products that I'm using in this video are linked in the description, but hey, come check this out. You can already see after blowing out the carpet here, it's already a whole lot less embedded with all of the pet hair. So we're actually able to remove 80% of pet hair by doing this, loosen everything up so that the vacuum process is gonna be a whole lot easier. If you don't have an air compressor and some sort of air tool, it's an absolute must as far as efficiency is concerned. Another area to make sure that you're properly blowing out is a very commonly missed area among most detailers, and that's the area between the plastic trim and the rubber piece that separates the door from making contact with the trim. A lot of times, customers will notice that you have left all of this dirt and grime, especially right here, that's between these two pieces, but you can actually get this to come out almost 90% just by using your air compressor. So we're gonna start with a vacuum from the back to front. If you're working with somebody else, here's how I do it. They'll start vacuuming in the back. I'll begin with a basic preliminary wipe down of the front, not necessarily getting in all the cracks and crevices, but getting all of the major hard surfaces, and then we meet in the middle and overlap. But if it's just you, you'll start vacuum back to front, and then you'll come back over yourself by doing the full wipe down. Now here's two tools that I have that make this a whole lot easier. Both of them available on Amazon, Car Supplies Warehouse, really anywhere you can buy your detailed products. This pumice stone tool is the most effective way to get pet hair out of carpets. The only problem is, because it's such a hard surface, you cannot scrape it up against any plastics. It will cause damage. So this is only for those major areas of carpet, none of the small areas. This tool we can use to get in all the cracks and crevices. I'm gonna show you how I can make this carpet look pretty damn perfect without having to use shampoo. Now for door jambs that are this dirty, we like to start by pressure washing them before we do a wipe down of the interior, because of course doing this is gonna kick up dirt. We don't wanna do that after we have a clean interior, but this is gonna allow us to knock off the majority of the dirt and grime that you wouldn't be able to get just by wiping down the door jambs. So before I show you how we're going to clean all of the interior surfaces, I wanna show you what I'm working with. The first thing is P&S Express Interior Detailer Diluted 1:1. The reason why I like this one is honestly just about satisfaction. It has a little bit of a foaming property, so I can get a little bit more of a fun detail experience for myself. Beyond that, I've got two different rags. This is very important. The reason why I'm color coding my two different rags is because the red one is my workhorse. This is an older rag that I've had for a while that's kind of beat down, and this is to wipe off all of the major surfaces and get most of the dirt off. And then at the end, I can come through and do all of the fine details with a newer, nicer finishing towel. Then what I have over here are two different detail brushes, literally just Amazon pickups wants to have two different styles of brushing. They're a little bit, this one's thinner than this one. And then the second thing that I have in my hand here is a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and this is something that I can use to scrub down all of the major surfaces, the large areas of hard plastic, just for efficiency's sake. And then I'm also going to be using my air compressor tool to blow out these crevices as I'm brushing them down. This is a major efficiency thing, which I'll show you in a second, but let's go ahead and get started. The first thing to consider is the center console portion. This and the steering wheel are the most complex parts of the interior detail process because of all of the different cracks and crevices. Couple things to be aware of. One, there were little inserts that go in these cup holders and in the glove compartment here. If I pull these out, I can just pressure wash these, so that makes my life a whole lot easier. Two, if a customer doesn't remove their things from their center console, I assume they don't want me to touch it. We've gone ahead and removed everything in here so we can do a deep cleaning of it, but it's very important to specify to your customers, if you don't remove your personal belongings, I'm not touching that area for liability reasons. Now, the next thing to go over is screens. A lot of detailers get in trouble with screens. These are not made to have large amounts of chemical or moisture or buildup on them. The screen is literally going to be cleaned with one spray just to get a little bit of dampness on my towel, and then I'm lightly pressing to remove the fingerprints. And again, this is a very soft detailing chemical, and it's diluted 1-to-1 with water, so we don't even have a full strength chemical on this screen. And you can see that's taking care of really everything that we need to. You don't want to have a situation where you're damaging electronics. So this is my workhorse towel. Here's what I'm going to use it for. We're going to start by just spraying and getting as much chemical as we can in these areas. I'm going to take my thicker brush and I'm just going to work it. This is genuinely just a process of paying attention to the details, which is completely our job description. So with this, I'm just getting at all of these cracks and crevices, and I'm not worrying about making it absolutely perfect right now. I'm not worrying about making sure that there's no dust. I'm just trying to get 80 to 90% of the debris out of all of these surfaces, so at the end I can come through and get it perfect. What I'm doing by doing this method is not just personal preference. This is actually more efficient than trying to get everything perfect on the first take, because it allows me to breeze through everything very quickly, and then later on I'm going to end up causing a little bit more of a mess just by being in the car. I'm going to be moving around, more dirt and debris is going to be flying everywhere based on what I'm doing, especially when I'm air compressing things out. That's going to happen even if I've made this area perfect. So if I spend 20 minutes getting this picture perfect and spotless, and then I start cleaning this, I'm going to have to come over and spot treat anyways. So I would rather just take the time to make all of the final details at the end. I could spend the next 5 minutes trying to perfectly dry this out, or I could just take my air compressor and blow it out. This is why I keep my air compressor on me for absolutely every part of the interior process. A lot of detailers don't do this, but imagine your customer puts their car in drive. They pull their gear shifter all the way back and this area is still dirty. So with my foot on the brake and the car on, I am absolutely going to clean this part of the vehicle. Turning our attention to the center steering wheel, here's another couple of common mistakes. One, you need to treat the center gauge cluster the same as the screen. On a lot of brand new cars, the stupid electric vehicles have a big fat iPad in the middle. Obviously that's a screen, but even if it's just this glass view into the speedometer and all of those little gauges, you still want to treat it just like it's glass. Now the other thing is you want to identify where on the car is the button to move the steering wheel up and down so that you can get right in here. Now for air vents, I'm gonna apply the same principle that I did to other cracks and crevices, and that is brush them out, and instead of drying them off with my towel, I'm going to use my air compressor to push all of that dirt out, because if you look at air vents before you clean them, especially if the car hasn't been cleaned in a while, you're gonna see a lot of dust super deep in there. You're not even gonna be able to reach that with your fingers or with your brush. The air compressor is gonna be the only way. Now for the door panel, same set of tools, same concepts, just a little bit different of a surface. We're gonna start, and this is gonna keep us as efficient as possible, by just blanketing the whole area in chemical. And then we take our Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and this we're not gonna press hard on because this is effectively a form of sandpaper. So this will abrade down layers of oil and grime on surfaces, but if you press too hard, you'll notice that you end up rubbing like some black residue off because you're actually stripping parts of the surfaces. So you just wanna very lightly rub it across the board. And the best thing for this is whenever you come across areas that maybe are a little discolored, maybe it's some sunscreen or people's body oils that have rubbed up against the surface. Again, this is a form of sandpaper, so it's gonna be able to strip that right off and leave as close to a smooth surface as possible beneath. Now we're brushing down, now we're getting ready to brush down all of the finer details. And when you're spraying chemical, you wanna be careful not to get too much in the speakers. I've never had a problem where chemical sits in the speakers, because if it does get in, it's gonna dry out if you're using something light like what we're using. So don't use any harsh chemicals right up against the speakers. I've never had any issues with the product that I use, but you can see this very soft bristle hair brush. I mean, you can see how easily this bends. This is my choice brush for areas like this, because it allows me to really get in all of those cracks and crevices, and I'm gonna push it up against all of the cracks that join each part of the plastic and the leather and all of these components. And then we're gonna finish off by blowing out all of the surfaces and then wiping it down with our rag. So one thing that you'll notice after you finish this is on all of these chrome surfaces, you can see it's a little streaky. And God forbid you're working on a BMW. I bought a BMW and I absolutely hate this about my car. There's so much chrome and carbon fiber because it's an M car, and those surfaces have to be treated exactly the same as screens. You just take a dry or close to dry rag and you just very carefully buff out all of the smears, fingerprints, and all of those areas, and that's how you leave those surfaces as close to perfect as possible. When it comes to rubber floor mats, you know what else is rubber? Tires. We clean it the same way that we clean tires. So I've got my tire cleaning chemical here, diluted 8:1, so a little bit of a weaker dilution for the floor mats because we don't need to be as aggressive with them. And I also have these little rubber inserts that were in the cup holders, and we're simply just gonna let that sit momentarily, use the exact same brush that we use for tire cleaning, and just thoroughly brush it down. Now, something that I see a lot of detailers do that causes a massive liability for their company is shining the rubber mats with tire shine or with some sort of dressing that you would use on interior plastics. If it's slippery, it can cause somebody's foot to slip and hit the gas pedal or hit the brake in a way they did not mean to, and it could cause an accident. You can get sued for that. So please just leave them with the original finish. Don't add any shine, but this is how we thoroughly clean them to the best of our abilities. So at this point in the detail, we're about 80% to perfection, but of course that's not a finished product when we're promising a detail. So the way that we do it at this point, like I said earlier, if you try to make everything perfect on the first go, you're gonna end up going over yourself and creating a little bit more of a mess just by having the doors open and moving through the vehicle. So now it's time to do the final vacuum and wipe down from back to front. Realistically, we're only gonna be spending about 5 minutes in each part of the car, and it's just to point out, oh, there's a hair here, let's get that. Oh, there's some dust here, let's get that. And that's gonna wrap us up for the interior. So we just wrapped up the interior and now we're transitioning to the outside. Now, you saw how we were able to get the carpets and the floor mats looking amazing without a shampoo, just from a thorough vacuum and spraying a little bit of interior chemical on top to give it a little bit of fluff. Now on the outside, we're keeping it simple as well and focusing on the basics, but we're going to do them in a very thorough manner. The thing about the exterior that most people look for when receiving a car after a detail is almost always the wheels and rims. Those need to be perfect. So I'll show you our specific method for that. And the other thing that usually needs to be perfect is the trim. If a car like this hasn't been cleaned in a while, the trim is gonna look faded, so you need to dress it. Things like that need to be a core component of a full detail. Stuff like the engine bay, clay bar, those are always add-ons. We always start with the wheels and tires because it's the dirtiest part of the car, and I do have a full exterior video where I walk through everything step by step, but as far as the wheels are concerned, we're going to rinse them and then use our tire cleaner, and we wanna let this sit for a couple of minutes. So usually what I do is I'll run around, I'll spray down all of the tires, and then I'll come back and start working on the first one that I rinsed down. Always start with the actual tire, then the wheel well. Go inside. Now I have this special mitt to help me really reach behind all of the spokes, because this is what people pay attention to on the exterior. The biggest mistake that most detailers make when working on the tires is this. The top of the tire right now can't be seen. I mean, I really can't really see anything even if I come all the way down. So how do I know that this is perfectly clean? Well, I don't. That's why we move the car forward just a little bit so the tire can complete a full rotation and what's on top can be on the bottom and vice versa, so we can make sure that we've done it as thoroughly as possible. So this right here is exactly what I'm talking about. Imagine the customer drives away, they park their car at the grocery store on another day, and then boom, they notice that. So now we've rinsed off the tires, rinsed off the whole car, and then sprayed some bug remover all over the front to make sure that all of the bug guts are getting eaten up. And now I'm gonna foam the whole car down and complete a wash from top to bottom. Now, before we start washing everything, it's important to understand what the customer looks at. They look at all the cracks and crevices on the exterior the same way they do on the interior. So areas like the gas cap, we want to clean that, come around to the front. You want to have dedicated exterior detailing brushes to take care of the lettering on the front of the vehicle. The grille, even areas down here, are very important to hit with a brush before we even start washing the car. Now we're gonna go for our first rinse. There's a second rinse, which I'll explain in a second. Now I want you to notice something on all parts of the paint. Everything is extremely flat. The water is sitting flat on it. There's no water beading. And that makes sense. The car hasn't been cleaned and maintained regularly. But this is our ceramic spray sealant. Again, all products are linked in the description. And this is standard with all of our packages. This is going to bring instant hydrophobics to the paint, and it's going to protect it for about 2 to 4 weeks. So this is standard for all of our services. You see how the water is instantly beating up just from this product. So we're gonna do this all the way around the vehicle and then dry it off. Now, something important about the drying process is to always start with the glass, because this is the spot where water spots can accumulate the most easily and become the most visible. While the team finishes drying the car, I'm gonna walk you through the last 2 steps that we have, and that's shining the tires and then making sure the trim is up to standard. So you wanna make sure it's perfectly dry. The product that I'm using is Griot's Ceramic Tire Shine. It lasts longer than most tire shines as far as the shine and the durability is concerned. So we're able to get about 4 to 6 weeks worth of shine out of it, depending on how the customer treats their tires after service. But the idea behind our whole full detail service, and this is one of 2 full detail services that we offer, is we want to make sure that every single surface is cleaned. We're not necessarily doing everything that your car needs to be in perfect condition, but we want to make sure everything is clean and have some level of baseline protection, hence the ceramic sealant and the ceramic tire dressing. And then our second full detail service is our luxury detail service, and that just elevates the protection one more step. That service offers about 8 months worth of ceramic protection instead of 2 to 4 weeks, and then that also offers a clay bar. Now this here is extremely important. A lot of times, customers are paying attention to the trim And if they see it looking like this, they're gonna assume that it's still dirty. It's not dirty, it's faded. And we have long-term solutions to restoring trim, but we want to make sure, again, that this full detail service caters to what the customers want, what 90% of people are expecting in return for their money, not what we as detailers think makes the most sense. So if most customers don't know the difference between dirty and faded trim, it only makes sense to dress the trim so it at least looks good when we present it to them. And you can immediately notice the difference between this right here and this panel that we haven't touched yet. So we're wrapping up this full detail service. Again, this service is allowing my company to charge about $100 an hour in revenue. This took just over 3 hours today because of the pet hair in the back, which we included complimentary for this customer. But if you want to see a more in-depth video breaking down our exact exterior process and our clay bar and all of those different things that we offer, here's this video. And if you want to see exactly how I, at 19 years of age, got free detailing vehicles, my own BMW, moved out of my parents' house, and make over $1 million a year in revenue, you can watch this video right there.